Hi, I'm Michael Ceely. I'm an executive and leadership coach, and this is part 3 in a 4-part series on leadership styles that mirror parenting styles. And today we're going to talk about the uninvolved leader. So similar to the uninvolved parent, the uninvolved leader in business is just that. They're really uninvolved. They're kind of checked out. They're emotionally distant, and they don't really nurture or provide any kind of motivation or growth to a business. And they can actually stay hidden in a business and the corporate structure, especially for a long time. They tend to kind of hide, and this is probably the most dangerous type of leadership. And it's dangerous because, again, that type of leader just stays hidden because they're basically phoning it in. They're doing the bare minimum. And unless there's accountability for that leader, they may stay in that leadership position for years. Now, a point of clarification, there's a leadership style in business called the Laissez-Faire Leader, meaning literally to kind of let be. It's not an uninvolved leader. It's basically a hands-off type of leadership. And uninvolved leadership is not laissez-faire. The uninvolved leader is really not even there or present to get involved, whereas the laissez-faire leader will often step in, but only when appropriate, and allows a lot of autonomy with the team. So let's talk about the key characteristics of the uninvolved leader. Number one, just like an uninvolved parent, the uninvolved business leader is emotionally distant. They put off sort of a vibe that they can't be bothered, that their door is closed and shut and don't knock. You may not even see them that often. They are literally not involved, and not involved enough to really be helpful to the team that they're guiding. The second characteristic of the uninvolved leader, similar to the uninvolved parent, is that there is a lack of structure. So that the business organization may have some sort of default hierarchies and structures that are there that everyone follows, but the uninvolved leader relies solely on these default structures, doesn't really provide enough structure to make the business run at its full capacity. The third characteristic of the uninvolved leader is there is minimal interaction. Similar to emotional distance, there is really a lot of physical distance. You may not even see your boss. You may wonder when the next meeting is. You don't actually see them on a regular basis. Even if it's a lot of online work, you don't see this leader show up for meetings. They're always at another meeting somewhere. They're doing something else. So they're not literally physically present. And I want to point out that this style of leadership, the uninvolved leader, isn't always intentional. It's not that this leader is always lazy or just kind of checked out. This leader may actually be forced in this position of being the uninvolved leader type because this leader has so many other obligations. I see a lot of businesses that I coach where there is a leader that is put into a position and then the job description kind of changes or stuff is added onto it. And they feel kind of like a bait and switch, like, hey, I took this job, I wanted to be involved, but you're giving me so many more other duties here. And I've even given you feedback that I can't do all this stuff. So now I'm forced to basically be an uninvolved leader because I have so much on my plate and I've spread myself so thin that I'm now by default an uninvolved leader. So I want to point out that it's not always an intentional thing with the uninvolved leader. They may want to be involved, but they literally can't because they have too much on their plate. So what are some solutions to this type of leadership problem? I think number one, if you are a leader and you find yourself kind of by default as being forced to be an uninvolved leader, that you really need to speak up. You need to be the squeaky wheel and continue to make it clear that this is not a sustainable leadership style. And once you've sort of exhausted all of your efforts to speak up and try to make change, to be more involved, you may want to consider moving on to another organization if you're not getting any kind of response to that. But at very least, you'll have answered your conscience and, and spoken up. So if you're the uninvolved leader who's kind of maybe unmotivated and literally checked out, you may just want to do a personal audit of, like, is this something you want to continue doing? Is this particular position that you have exciting you still? Is it really passionate? You don't have to be like super passionate, but like, why are you uninvolved if this is an intentional thing and not imposed on you? Why are you uninvolved? So this would be a great opportunity that maybe it is time for you to move on and try something new, or make it clear that you want new challenges, right? So it could just be that you're bored, you're not really challenged, and you need something a little bit more exciting in your role to give you back that old passion so you can become more involved. So in summary, the uninvolved leader has three main characteristics. Number one, they're emotionally distant. They put off a vibe saying, please don't bother me for whatever reason. Number two, there's lack of structure in their team. There's just a very basic foundational structure, so it's functional, but not really functioning on all cylinders. And number three, there's minimal interaction with the team from the uninvolved leader. Either the leader's just physically not present, or you just don't even really see them that often. That's a big telltale sign. So my next video is on permissive leadership, which again mirrors the parenting styles. The permissive parenting style is very similar to permissive leadership. The name kind of says it all, but I think you're going to find the next video really interesting because there's a lot of subtle things, a lot of subtle dynamics going on in that leadership style. So again, this is part 3 in a 4-part series on leadership styles that mirror parenting styles. Number 1 is authoritarian. The next, number 2, is authoritative. And this video here, which is the uninvolved. And then finally on the next video, it's the permissive leadership style. There's links in the description below to all of these videos. Definitely check them out. It's a great way to kind of check in on yourself, to see if you have some of these leadership styles yourself, if you're a leader, or if you work for a leader, you can look at some of these styles and think about the dynamics that are causing some of these styles. So I hope this video helps. Again, my name is Michael Ceely. I'm an executive and leadership coach. Thanks for watching.